everyone, and welcome. It's Tracy Fryer from Design Studio Perth. We're dedicated to helping our clients grow with distinction. I've just had the absolute privilege of being on the Online Prosperity Show. Prosper and I spoke about the importance of growing a brand and really stepping into your power as a business owner and being of service to your other clients. Also, get ready for your in-flight experience with Design Studio Perth.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Tarowenga, and today we have a spectacular guest joining us. Tracy, how are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much, Prosper. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. You see, in this episode and in this podcast, we dive into stories of incredible individuals that are shaping their industries. And as soon as I started seeing your work, it caught my attention. So I thought, wait a minute, let me follow this girl and find out what she's all about. And little did I know, you would have been a neighbor of mine at some point. And we actually came run about the same time in Australia. So congratulations on all your successes. I know it hasn't been easy.
Thank you so much. It has definitely not been easy, but it's been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And yes, I think we did high five each other when we immigrated here in 2011.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that. And for those that are just maybe meeting Tracy for the very first time, what rock have you been living under? Because Tracy is a South African dynamo who's made Australia her creative canvas. And she's not only just a seasoned professional in the design world, she also holds a prestigious World Traveler title from her days as an air hostess. We're going to be talking about all of that stuff, and she's going to be telling us all the exits along the way and how they actually managed to fit in confined places, while they're traveling. So we were really welcomed you, Tracy, to the show. And I really like what you've done with Design Studio Perth, and you're definitely helping other business owners out there carve impactful brands in the realm of, the digital space. And I can't wait to hear all about how it all started and exactly what it is that you've been up to. So tell us a little bit about your journey from being that jet-setting air hostess to now becoming the creative genius behind Design Studio Perth, and how this transition actually happened.
Well, Prosper, firstly, thank you so much for the fabulous intro. That was fantastic, and I love that. Wow. So my creative journey would be fair to say started, I've always been a creative. Design Studio Perth was started in July 2020. I've always had a side hustle, although I'm a bit adverse to that word. I've always had a freelance business. So I studied art and graphic design throughout my entire career. Always been a creative. I sold my first painting at the age of 12. And I've always had a business owner, like entrepreneur mindset, I would say, in that I've always had a little side business. So my parents would give us pocket money, 25 Rand, it's about $2 nowadays with the exchange. And I guess I love being sociable. So I guess to cover my early networking days, I had a little side business. I sold fizz pops. Do you remember them from South Africa?
What did you? Fizz pops.
Yeah. Fizz pops. Yeah. So at school, off I went with my backpack, went to Macros, like a Costco, because our tuck shop was selling them, I think, for like £2.50, and went to Macro, which is like Costco, with mom and dad, and bought a tub. I think they cost me like 20 cents a lollipop. Sold them for £2, undercut the tuck shop, and business was booming. Off I went with my backpack. And throughout my entire life, I've always, I've sold my art. Originally, I studied visual arts, and then that was to Auckland University. After Auckland Uni, I had a break. I wanted to travel, so I joined Jetstar, Auckland base, and had the time of my life. I learned so much about humans in general and what happens in the sky. And so I did that for 2 years. I flew as a cabin crew member and then as a cabin manager, and got to see the world and travel and met the most amazing people along the journey. And then I moved to Perth, yes, in 2011, and I studied graphic design through TAFE. And I found with my visual arts degree and my graphic design diploma, those two, merged. has really given me a great foundation in how I approach my branding work with my clients, and in sourcing my team. It's very important that they have that artistic creative background as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so sorry. And that was studies. And then I worked as a graphic designer, I worked as a jewelry designer. And then after COVID, my hubby Don said to me, Trace, why don't you just start your own thing full time? Because I was always kind of dabbled in it, but it's obviously nerve-wracking, right? Because we're so conditioned to have this mindset that we need to, go to school, go to high school, go to uni, work for someone, and then you retire. And yeah, when Don said that to me, it was like a light bulb went on, and prayed for a sign, got it 2 weeks later, and that was when Design Studio Perth was born.
Well, congratulations. That just really sounds like a story, out of a Disney movie, because it it
Too kind.
does really, the girl gets the princess or things like that. And looking at where you are right now, it does look like you've found your true calling. Now, it's quite exciting hearing all the things that you would have started, selling those fish pops as a kid. Most of us would have done that, but different versions and all that stuff. So I'm just putting things together here. People have
Yeah.
always been your thing, right? Because from you doing that entrepreneurial stuff with the other kids at school, then you went on to obviously designing, that's people orientated, then you went to the airplanes, that's people orientated, and now you're working with businesses. Your fascination has just been about helping other people maybe have a happier existence, right?
Of course, I think you summed it up really well. Definitely. People are my thing. I love socializing, networking, and really helping other business owners and humans in general just reach their goals. Life can be so tough. But I think if we can support each other and guide each other, it can really make the journey so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing that you're helping business people achieve is looking good online, but that comes easy for somebody who's well trained as an air hostess, right?
Well, when you have to get up at 3 a.m. and look glamorous, coffee become my best friend. But no, I find, like I mentioned before, with my training in my visual arts and always being a creative, my parents were great. They really embraced my creativity. It wasn't like you had to go be a lawyer or a doctor, which a lot of families, that was the way you kind of they chose your career path. So my parents really embraced that, which was great. So really blessed in that way. And I think through studying and through always being a creative, it's given me this foundation to kind of work from and really help our clients grow with distinction in the marketplace. So it's not just about giving them a brand and off they go. We really want our clients to shine in the marketplace. We live in a digitally flooded market, and we really want our clients to stand out, really want them to shine. But we do have a process that we go through. It's not just about creating a logo. A logo is only one part of it. We really have a brand discovery where we discover who the business owner is, who the business is, what services they offer, and what actually makes that business different from everyone else. Again, there's so many accountants, so many lawyers, so many business advisors, so many branding specialists, but just really getting down to the nitty gritty of what makes them different, and how we can showcase that through, visual assets or through their copy or through their brand messaging and through their website. So they essentially really getting a return on investment from distinctive branding.
Fantastic. Now, you've probably just gotten me off center right there. I thought starting a business just involved, having a logo and putting together a couple of pictures. And yeah, we show up on social media and that's it.
Well, Prosper, done is better than perfect, but I really think if you're trying to grow your business and take it to that next level, you really need to have a clear strategy in place. And again, as business owners, most of us fall into business and we don't know any better, and we kind of wing it, which is great, but it'll only get you to a certain point. And as I mentioned, when you are trying to take things to that next level to help more people, to reach your goals or do whatever your life goals are, you really need to have a clear strategy in place, the one that aligns with your ideal client. So what we do with our clients is we really help them distinguish who it is that they're selling to, because if you market to everyone, you're a specialist to no one. And in saying that, when you niche down, it doesn't mean that you don't really service anyone else. You're just getting really clear and speaking really clearly to who it is that you're marketing to. So that way, your visuals, your website, your marketing collateral, your messaging, everything aligns with our client and speaks volumes to them. So they feel like they are seen and heard. And that tends to form that connection with your ideal client.
Oh, absolutely. I quite like that whole, if you're just speaking to everybody, you end up speaking to no one. Now,
Yeah.
from what I'm gathering about your business, you have taken a supportive role to actually work with time poor business owners because they normally don't have the time to actually make sure their brand still sings and speaks to
Yeah.
those people at that particular time, because I believe you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. So what's the secret sauce then to crafting a brand that's not only standing out, but also does the whole speaking that you're talking about, and it actually gives people that sort of freedom, like you say, to do more of what they love?
Yeah, of course. So always the foundational step is the brand discovery. So we think of branding, like branding is so multifaceted, but I like to break it down into three. So we've got your visual identity, which is your logo and your style guide. These are always the core foundations that we focus on. We then got your core messaging. Who is it that we sell into? What is our brand persona? We actually turn the brand into a person. We give them a name as well. The ideal client. Our ideal client is called Steve. And the reason for that is because it just makes it that bit easier to create our messaging, to design something with Steve in mind. And then the third component that we have is our brand imagery. So a lot of business owners will use stock websites. Again, they serve a purpose, but we're very big on having brand photos taken specifically for your brand. So that way the next, graphic designer or next accountant doesn't have the same photos on their website, on their capability statement. And that way it becomes a real point of difference for your business. So when you've got your visual identity, your core messaging, and your brand imagery aligned and created specifically for your brand, and we're very big on custom, so everything that we do is bespoke. We then use that to flow through the rest of your marketing collateral and this brand cohesion that happens. So if you think of, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and not necessarily just the larger brands, even small ones. There's Frank Body, which is an Australian beauty brand. They've got that cohesion that happens. And again, because we are in a world that is so visually flooded, our clients and our audience, they need to see us again and again and again. I think there's like 52 contact points or that they have to see us in order to actually start to know, like, and trust us. So it takes so many times. And if your logo is different every time, if your colors are different every time, it becomes really hard to do that effectively. And it just falls on, deaf ears, I should say, blind eyes. But yeah, you have to be really, like, you have to get your brand colors sorted, your logo sorted. And that's why we have key tools that Design Studio Perth creates to help create that cohesion visually and through messaging as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because if
Yeah.
people, everybody's busy, and we now
Yes, the
live in a
favorite
world,
word.
and people have a 3-second attention span. So if they cannot distinguish you from Sally from down the road, then
Yeah.
obviously you're going to be a too hard basket for them to want to work with. I don't know if you've seen in the design space, there's that Asian girl who appears on nearly every marketing collateral.
I think I know which one you're speaking of. Yeah.
Yeah. She's become world famous, and she's on every website, on every billboard. And you're like, whoa, this girl, do these people actually know who this person is? And
Yeah. And yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And speaking of, being in so many different places and having many touch points, your personal journey has involved you living in many different countries. So I'm assuming you've had a glimpse and a taste of what is actually happening with different cultures, different
Yes.
looks and feels and marketing and things of that nature. Now, how did these sort of diverse cultural experiences, shape your approach to what you're doing now at Design Studio Perth?
Well, my parents have immigrated 4 times, hence why I've lived in a few different places. But I think, seeing how different cultures live, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, we're same but different. And I think that just gives one such a different perspective. Like yourself, you'd have such a different perspective, also having, come from Africa and living in Melbourne. And I think it just really, each of us has our own journey. But the way we approach things, we bring all those different things together. So for myself, I bring those cultural experiences, that visual arts degree, graphic design, all the beautiful people I've met along my life. You bring all those experiences together when you're working on a client's branding, or it's all kind of integrated. So does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
you were talking about different brands that transcend borders. And if you can spot them in different places, I mean, obviously that could influence the way you now advise your clients because you've seen how different brands, can be easily spotted in different countries. Whereas some business owners would not have had the privilege of being a world traveler, being in different places and seeing how they can easily recognize a McDonald's. Even if you don't eat McDonald's at home, you would go
Yes.
across to a McDonald's just because of brand recognition. So it's one of those things. And speaking about being a world traveler, um, how did that come about?
Oh my goodness. Well, my auntie flew for SAA growing up. She was an air hostess for SAA, and then my uncle was he was a flight engineer, so worked in the flight deck in the days when they had a flight engineer. And I was always just so inspired by their travels. And I think they worked, for the airlines in a time where it was a lot more glamorous. You had like 2 week stints, and I was always like, wow, this is amazing. I want to do this. And she always used to bring the Argots book home from the UK, and just always was very inspired by their journey. And so after my degree, I wanted to go after school, but my folks said, no, you have to go and get a degree, which was great because I had a lot more life experience when I did eventually go travel. So yeah, joined Jetstar, went through the ground school. It's a very grueling process. So I think there's like 3 or 4 different stages that you go through. They do leadership testing. They do all kinds of different personality testing, really to see how you kind of fit. They're very selective in who they take on board. And yeah, got through, which was great and a surprise as well. And yeah, I flew as a cabin crew for a year. And then I did my cabin management upgrade in the second year. Had a team that I managed. We flew on the Airbus A320s and saw various sides of human nature. It was and it was an eye-opener. I was actually kind of glad that I did it after I had studied and not straight out of school, because I think it would have been quite daunting.
Fantastic. I quite like how your journey has all these role models that you picked up from, like you had family that was already in the airline industry, and you also had so many people that were supporting you along the way, because there's a point where you said mom and dad would maybe give you money, and that sort of sprung your entrepreneurial journey. And then recently you've had your hubby supporting you to get started on your business. How important is having these support networks and people in life? Because not a lot of people have those, and it does seem like for you, you've had that, and yeah.
Yeah, Prosper, I've been very blessed. It's so important because I think, journey as a business owner, sorry, a journey as a business owner, even as a human, it can be so challenging. And when we don't have that support network in place, I think it can be very lonely. And sometimes, self-doubt creeps in, like we don't believe in ourselves enough to take these steps. And then someone external will say to you, hey, like my hubby Don said to me, Trace, is like, why don't you just do your own thing? And like, you work for someone, you have a side business, you may as well just do it for yourself. And it was just like a light bulb went on. So 100% throughout my life, I always had these very supportive people, my parents, my family, Don. I have an amazing business advisor who's really helped me as well. And there are times where I want to give up because it just gets too hard. But someone will just give you a towel and say, get back up, wipe your face off, and off you go. And those networks and those people can really just help you push through when you think like, that's it, I'm done, I'm in my shame cave and I am staying there for good now. But yeah, I've been very blessed to have those people in my life. And I think if people are in a situation where they don't have people like that in their life, I think it's important to get out, network, join different groups, find your tribe. I found as my business has grown and as I've grown as a person, because nothing will take you on a personal journey growth like having your own business. Your friendship circles change. Everything in your life will change, because I think you're growing, and I guess it's all part of life. Things change and that. But if it happens too quickly and you don't have those core support people in your life, it can be very I think very disheartening. You can kind of think, oh, like you're pursuing your dreams, like this is what you're born to do, and every single post that you see says, go for your dreams and reach for the stars. But they leave out the ones that say you're going to, you'll lose all your friends, and there'll be days where you want to give up, and all those really tough times. So those people have really helped me like phenomenally.
Absolutely. And what's it been like building the business? Because with the success that you now have, I'm
Yeah.
supposing it hasn't been easy.
It definitely has not, but I think anything that's challenging is definitely worthwhile. A firm believer in challenging myself, sometimes a bit relentless. But the journey has been, it's been very, can't really sum it up in one word or two, but I think it's been one of the best things that I've ever done. I blame Tony Robbins because he was like burn the boats, and that's what I did. So it's really, I think it's taken me to a next level of growth that I don't think I would have ever experienced, working for someone. It's really opened my eyes to a whole nother world of how I can be of service to other people more. Again, working for someone, I don't think I would have been challenged as much. And just the people I've met along the way, it's interesting because my previous coach always said every level has another devil, and it's so true. Like you think, oh, when I get here it'll like be smooth sailing, and then you get there, you're like, oh my goodness, it's not. It's very rewarding, don't get me wrong, and sometimes I do get to work on my computer for my pool, but most of the time it's hard yards. Like, there'll be late nights and you'll be giving up your free time. But I think the main thing is to be passionate about it and ensure that that passionate and that flame for that passion doesn't dry up, because if it does, I think that will just be the end of it all. But I love my business journey. I've been very blessed as I've had some of the most testing times. Probably hit rock bottom, sorry, in November 2021, but that was my biggest catapult into pushing me into a better person. And yeah, just really leveraging my journey and getting rid of that in my life that no longer served me.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, like you said, with Tony Robbins burning the boats, if you are going on a journey like this, you literally don't need anything that will, sort of give you that comfort of, we could always go back to this. There's never a plan B. And especially if you're so
No,
far away from everybody that you know and everything else that you grew up around, the only the only way is forward. So maybe you could walk us through maybe a difference that you've made for a client that you've worked with, and something that has changed their business, or some sort of a testimonial or a highlight that has happened in your business so far.
yeah, of course. And Prosper, I hope you don't mind. There's one other thing I'd love to touch on. And I think always believing in a higher power. So there've been times where I'm like, that is it. Like those core foundational people, like they serve a purpose as well. But I think just believing in a higher power, whether that's God, Buddha, universe, whatever you believe in, that is also a massive foundation in pushing things to that next level. Super, super important. Sorry, I digress. A testimonial would probably be, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing, my business advisor. We branded his business, and yeah, it was great to see things just go to that next level. I think, sometimes really struggle to see the value in branding. Yeah, you just, kick up a business, start a logo, have a website done on Fiverr, and off you go. But I think really seeing the transformation in this person, and how having a brand, really their confidence, their confidence, their business, everything just went next level, because they actually had a real brand and they had something that they're ready to go to the market with. Whereas when they didn't have it, they were kind of hanging back. And I think for a lot of business owners, it's easy, not just this person in particular, it's easy to I always say, hide behind a logo or hang back, or kind of, we make ourselves so much smaller than what we can actually be. And yeah, just seeing the confidence and how this person has taken their business to a whole nother level has been so rewarding. So it just shows the power of having a brand and having a strong brand. And one that aligns with the business owner as well. It can be so powerful, and it can really just help make, that business owner's core purpose and calling to help and serve other people so much stronger. And it kind of just has this beautiful effect where everyone kind of benefits. So yeah.
Absolutely. See, the day my life changed was when a graphic designer told me, um, Prosper, look at the way you dress. And have you ever noticed when you go into a shop and you try on a new suit, you feel like a whole different person? And I was like, yeah, that usually happens. And especially if it's custom made, I really want to make sure everybody sees it. You know what I
Of
mean? Not
course.
exactly like that,
Yes.
but you're like, you walk straight, tall, and everything else. And then they just reflected that to me, and they said, that's exactly what happens to your brand when you reskin it, so to speak.
So
And
true.
I was just like, wow, because if you know you're confident about the way you look and everything else, you would want everybody else to see it, even if you're not ready yet, but you put yourself out there. So
Totally.
I wish a lot of people would understand that. Now, if somebody is sort of new to the idea of maybe branding and stuff, and they haven't, well, gotten the experience and maybe the expertise that we both have, can you maybe break down why it is actually crucial for their business, and what sort of tangible benefits can they, derive from having a well-crafted brand?
Yeah, of course. Well, we have a newsletter and we do have a content library. So if anyone wants anything or wants to start somewhere, we can share some content with you. Because branding is not just one thing and there's a few different facets. It's always good to start with the brand discovery, because again, if you haven't taken a deep dive, or maybe you yourself don't even fully understand what what your business is truly about, or what it is that you want to offer. If you haven't done that first discovery, it's really hard to build anything that's going to give you a return constructively without having that foundation in place. So for us, again, different agencies work differently, but always doing that brand discovery. We have got a blog post as well with some great blogs about branding, which might help too. So maybe if you are thinking of rebranding, you can have a read there, or there's some other great agencies as well. Research them. There's also some great YouTube videos that speak about branding. But I think the main thing is, with a brand, and again, I go back to our tagline, because you really want to grow with distinction in the marketplace. You really want to stand out. And, again, there's a budget and there's all these different factors that come into play. But when you have a well thought out brand and you have something that is, it's been specifically created for you, it's strategic, it really does give you a return on investment. So when you do make the investment of time and money in your branding, if it's done properly and correctly, it can really generate more business, more sales, more leads for you, as opposed to having a brand that, here's an example that I had, their child had designed the logo. There's nothing wrong with that. But when your logo hasn't been designed with your ideal client in mind, or it's just generated off Canva, chances are that there's, 500 other people using that same logo, and you become wishy-washy and you really stand minimal chance in the marketplace to really have a true impact on who it is that you're trying to target. So having a strategic custom brand designed for your business and for you can have a massive impact on your business. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in the space. Like, it's really, with our clients, we've seen it happen. And I think, like you said, it just gives you that confidence and that radical swagger that you own it. Like, you own your business, you own your brand, you're the real deal, you've got something to go to the market with, and no one else out there has the same, because it's been custom designed for you. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
quite like how you go boutique on this, because we've had numerous people coming our way, with Getty images, cease and desist letters because they've used, or maybe their license has expired on the photos that
Yes.
they're using on their website. And I quite like how you say you want to get them to take their own custom brand photos. Nobody will come chasing after any of that information from there. Now, for those that have been inspired by your story and what it is that you're creating and eager to connect, how can people get a hold of you and learn more about Design Studio Perth?
Yeah, of course. Best place to find me is on LinkedIn. So my personal Instagram is Tracy Fryer, Tracy with no E, and Fryer like deep fryer. And we have our Design Studio Perth business page on LinkedIn as well. So we share a lot of great content and great value on there. And we're really big on educating our clients as to why branding is important. So there's some great value shares there for you as well. So that's probably the best place to go. We're also on Instagram and Facebook too.
Fantastic. Well, you've had wings. Now you're working with pixels. What's next for Tracy?
Oh, well, I'm going to be the podcast is happening, which is very exciting, nerve-wracking, completely out of my comfort zone, but that's very exciting, and just another way to be of service to business owners and speak about the real journey, which is great. So that's the one thing. The other thing is yeah, probably just focusing on growing the Design Studio Perth team and really helping creatives, number one, get into the field, because I know how hard it can be, and number two, continue to help our clients grow with distinction in the marketplace.
Absolutely. Well, the podcast is the only next alternative, because I've seen air hostesses holding that phone and they're speaking into, giving advice to everybody else on the plane. So it will only come
Actually,
natural. Yeah.
That's a good point. Actually, I didn't think about that. Yeah, over the PA. Yes, now that you mentioned it. Didn't realize I was practicing back then.
Fantastic. Only this time you're not telling people what exits to take. You're going to be telling people, what actions to actually take in order to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable.
Totally,
Well, I hope this
of course.
podcast takes flight.
Thank you so much, Prosper. It's been great chatting with you. And also, a good thing about the podcast, embarrassing incident that happened on the plane is that I accidentally pulled my skirt up with the life jacket. So at least we won't have to worry about that happening in front of a plane of 200 people.
I've always wondered how they managed to keep the hair straight while
Oh my
taking
God.
off the mask as well. I'm like, wait a minute, do they?
Oh, there's a lot of hairspray, but sometimes mishaps happen. Like I once got, the actual elastic cords because you're doing the demo. I got it stuck in a lady's hair. So it's not always so glamorous, trust me. But
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
everything just looks all orchestrated and everything else. I can't wait to listen to your podcast because I know it's going to be full of exciting stories and everything else. But I really, really appreciate your time on the episode today. I mean, as people can see, you're a creative powerhouse and you have actually come full flavored, and I just can't wait to see what else is in store with you there.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your kind words, and absolute privilege to be on your show. And I absolutely love what you're doing as well. It's great to see other business owners stepping into their power, and it gives the rest of us permission to do the same.
Absolutely. Well, I do appreciate that. As air hostesses would say, put your mask on first. All right.
Yes, definitely.
This is exactly what we're doing. We're putting our mask on first so that we can be there for our clients, and we can be there for our families and everybody else that comes along with it. So,
Yes.
yeah, thank you so much for being on the show today. And if you're watching right now, thank you so much. I encourage you to subscribe. And if you are actually ready to make your brand resonate with your audience, like what Tracy says, it takes a lot of touch points for people to get to know, like, and trust you. And if you really want to take off, you want to reach out to Tracy. Now she's not going to be found in the next flight to Joburg. She's going to be on Spotify or on Apple giving
Yes.
you advice on it's still in the air, but these are airwaves now. All right. So
It's time to purchase your own meals.
there's no air miles included in this one, right?
No, unfortunately not. Might be another business idea.
Absolutely. So be sure to fly first class on her new podcast, and just support her along the way. And remember, a well-crafted brand isn't just a logo, like what Tracy says. It's a story waiting to be told. And as you have heard this story, we're going to be putting the links to either the podcast or the website in the show notes below. Now, Tracy, thank you once again for flying with the Online Prosperity Show team here. We've arrived.
Thank you so much, Prosper. It's been great. Fantastic flight, 5-star rating.
We're signing off. Bye for now.